All right, this is the dApp's developer group on July 30th, 2019, 3:04 p.m. New York time. And we have, I'll let you take it from here, Steve.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Welcome everybody to the dApp developer working group meeting. So I posted it in the chat and also put it in Discord as well for an agenda for today. So Mike is on the call, and I have him on the agenda. He's going to be, hopefully, he's going to be giving an overview on GitHub, a dive into that. But I know NetZipper's been working diligently on status.ro, on understanding the inner logic. So I wanted to give some time to NetZipper to, if he's prepared, to share some of his thoughts. And then and if we have time to have Lumet talk about the project that he's working on towards the end. So NetZipper, status.ro. Do you?
Yeah, I will be quite short because I tried to update the gRPC to the fresh 11th release, and looks like it doesn't work.
Okay.
But I can show you. Anyone is interested in walkthrough on the status app? What is for?
Yeah, since we have Mike and Lumet on the call, they're not familiar with what the status app does. Perhaps you can kind of touch on that and then and go from there.
Okay. Hi guys, interested? Mike, Lumet. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you interested in the walkthrough?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay, can you see?
Yep.
Yes.
So I tried to work on the RChain API and the status app in conjunction, and as well as RChain. RChain is a MetaMask-like plugin to the Chrome browser. So the status app is built with the RChain in mind. So I found that some of the architecture patterns are the same. Status app is actually Express and JS application. It exposes 3 endpoints and as well publish a front-end page through index.html, which renders some content, and the most interesting part is here. The overall logic of the page is in the file page.js, in this file. So we can find some stuff like weird stuff like RChain signing, what is that for, and the same stuff is in the RChain application. Where should I find this? Here it is. So it looks like they should work together. And as far as I remember, there should be some walkthrough by Joshi, but I can't find it. So page.js. there is some concept of a message bus. Message bus on which we're passing the messages outside from the window, outside from our page, this page. So we introduce here a module that we cannot call from inside the console or from inside the page. But we can talk with all this stuff and all this stuff that is in page.js by sending messages to the window. So standard post message stuff to the window passes the message to this message bus, which is received here through this call port listen. And if we receive some message which has kind equal invoke, we are invoking this message. So first, when I try to understand how to deal with this application from the GitHub, there is no I didn't find any manuals that shows me that I should invoke this stuff in a console. So actually you should pass to the post message call a well-formed object with right parameters. So these are two buttons to register and to post. Register is a ordinary register user in a system, and post is to post a message by the registered user. So it's like decentralized Twitter. You register and then post some stuff. So this is a brief overview. This is not finished yet. There is a lot of issues and to-dos here, but it's quite nice in the sense that it is tied to RChain, and we can maybe evolve this stuff into more user-friendly application, which will allow us to sign message and to do all the consequent, all the further signs transparently for user. So now I will show you how this thing is working on the page. Okay. First let's go to the console. To work with this application, first you need a running RNode. And this application uses RChain API as well. So we should run RNode. Here it is. It has signs of my previous deploys and proposals. And this is the command line. You should pass the contract register address in the registry. When you deploy the contract and propose a block, this contract should be in the registry. And this is its address. So, okay, we started this application, deploy the contract, and then we have this stuff. Sign, register, sign up, post status, check friends status. Okay, you can see in the console some debug calls. Let's sign up. Page request and signature. Proxy. This signature is proxying the call on this bus. It calling for pop-up, which is kind of should invoke the signing extension. So we should pop up the window and ask, would you like to sign this stuff? I should press OK, let's sign, and then sign message should go to the R node. But this is not finished yet. All this signing stuff. All this signing stuff is not finished yet because the signing works like this. We just generate dummy key and sign with this key. So the procedure of retrieving of the private key or some kind of secret from the user is not done, but it somehow should be done via RChain. But I didn't find any breadcrumbs in the code how to do this yet. But it actually works. I can deploy, I can execute all this, all the front-end elements, and the only thing that isn't working is when I update to the fresh R node gRPC. How do I do this? How do I hide video pen, hide? Okay. So you can see my console, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the problem is that for those who wants to try RChain API in connection with the RChain status, you just clone RChain API here next to the RChain status, and in the package set the dependency this way. It works smoothly. So we just adjust RChain API, and it immediately available for the RChain status code. So I can do this all in one editor. I use Atom for this. Okay, so I updated protobuf to the 11th version, and my old protobuf was from 10th version, but actually when it was 10th version, I used dev branch to get the protobufs, and it worked. And I can show you now the test. So we are now on the RChain API folder. Here's the files, and we try to run test. Try to run test on the leave R node. I have running R node on my laptop, so we can see that test is failing because deploy service response is not a constructor. And actually funny stuff that if I get just one file from the old Protobuf's Casper message, so I can deploy. Test failed because it is listening for a name, for a data name, but it doesn't work. Actually, it works, but it's not. It's implemented the way that it is failing immediately after asking.
Okay.
So I cannot figure out yet what is the cause of this problem, because Casper message should be generated from this proto file, which is quite short file. And the only difference between this I found in GitHub was like removing block hash from some kind of message. So I was fighting with this all day today.
Yeah.
And finally I figure out that if I substitute this with this, it works.
Wow.
So I will try to figure out what's happening and how to fix this. But actually it's quite nice. I got up to speed on all this stuff, and I guess we'll see some progress soon.
What a great way to kind of to learn is, going through all that. So yeah, thank you for that overview. That was very helpful.
Yeah, I hope I hope so.
Well, yeah, we're making progress. Jim, did you have any comments?
I was, I could see, I made some good progress. I'm going to have to try to play with it myself, see if I can figure it out. I think we may want to solve the signing issues. I think, we probably should try to get some help from Dan if we can on that. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, let me just show you the RChain. RChain is set up as a plug-in, and that generates a key. This is actually a version I haven't updated. I don't know if you're familiar with the MetaMask plugin, which does Ethereum transactions. But the idea of the RChain plugin is supposed to be similar. But the way I understand it here is we put in a public key here, we put in some data here, we put in our password. And it would give us a signature, and then we could paste the signature into a message elsewhere. It didn't. There was no interface between the program and the RChain application yet, as far as I know. I don't know. I think Zipper confirmed that, and he didn't find those links in the code yet.
Yeah.
But the way that they did the demo here, and of course this isn't hooked to this isn't the up-to-date version here. I have this running on robot.net against an old version. Yeah, so that it used fake keys within the program to do the sign-ins, to do the status, and to check the status, to do all these operations. And at one point, we did go through and demonstrate signing up, posting a status, and checking a status. So I could say, I could say, I am happy, whatever. And then we gave it a sequential amounts, and we would post it. Of course, it's not going to work now. I should be getting some errors here. I don't know why I'm not getting any errors.
So you have problem to sign the deployed data?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the old version, which was before you put any fixes in. So this isn't working.
Okay.
Like I said, at one point in the past, that this was working. It didn't work. You know, it used totally fake keys. It didn't do the signing or security properly.
Okay. Okay.
At all, but it did the basic, you know, it invoked the basic functions on the contract, so that you could sign up, so that you could post a status, and you could check the status of someone. Okay, so I don't know. I just wanted to.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
In case anybody didn't understand exactly what the app was we were working on.
Right. So, yeah, thank you. So, okay. So, thank you, NutZipper, for that overview. And since Dan Conley is the author of RChain and on status.ro, would it be helpful, NutZipper, to if you were to have some questions for Dan Conley, or is this something that you need to kind of work through out on your own?
I guess the latter one. If I will get stuck, I will ask him.
Okay, because he has Saturday office hours, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So depending on how your progress goes, we could have, a session with him, and he could walk us through some of that as well. So, okay. Well, yeah, thanks again for the update.
The other person is Ed Ivo, who's worked through a lot of the signature signing properties, from the Scala side.
From the Scala side, sure.
But he would certainly, understand what needs to be done.
Right. And let me just, I'm going to throw up on the screen the readme.io work that NutZipper's has been doing. So a big thank you to NutZipper for creating our RChain Community Developer Hub. So that's taking shape. So everyone on the call, you're invited to go ahead and create an account and just go in and start reviewing it. And then if you have any edits or any recommendations, feel free to add those. So this is all us. This is all community driven. So what we can create is going to help those coming in after us. So it's all to help people get oriented as far as what's going on. So once again, so community driven. So we've got that, and then and that's along with our sandbox. So our sandbox testnet is taking shape. So we're going to have that as well. So I know. Let's see here. I had. Why don't we, since Mike has kind of prepared something for GitHub, Mike, why don't you go ahead and take take the podium, and then after that, any remaining time, Lumet, you can talk about your project, which we're all interested in. So we'll kind of give the floor to Mike to take it away.
Sorry, could we
Yeah.
go the other way, please? Because I really wanna see Lemuet projects, and I need to jump.
Need to get going. Okay. Why don't we? That'll work, Lumet. Since Nutzipper's got to go here shortly, maybe you can talk about your project.
Okay, I'm ready. Yes. Let's go. So I'll try to share my screen. Desktop one. Okay, let's go. You see it?
Yes.
So I'm working on a project which is called dApp. So dApp is so I'll try to describe it simply. It's a bit like a CDN, but the main point is that it's decentralized, meaning that just like blockchain technology, there is no single node or single point of failure for the delivery of content. So on the website, you'll see that the word I use is decentralized web application distribution network, but in reality, it can it can be applied to any file. So it can be PDF files or any sort of small file. So the main idea is that you put your files on the blockchain. So for example, a small web app, it can be just 1 kilobyte. So it's small. And then with using the dApp browser, which presents itself a bit like a web browser, you query a blockchain platform and get the content back. So the main idea is that legacy web works with client-server communications. It's always client servers. A web server, a web browser can only do client-server requests. And the main point of dApp is that you never do client-server requests. You always do client distributed ledger or client blockchain platform requests. This means that you will never rely on a single endpoint to get your web applications loaded on the browser. So this is the main idea driving the project. So you may want to take a look at the website, dApp.tech. And of course, with RChain and other platforms, since IDs might be difficult to memorize, there is a decentralized name service. It's a bit like Ethereum name service, same idea. And another idea is that dApp works with multiple servers running our node in the first place, and also running another API, which is the dApp API, which allows clients using the dApp browser to load content in their computers. So the main point is that by acquiring names, human readable names, is not free, and by paying it, when you buy a name like Google or Amazon, the price is divided to all members of the dApp network, and this creates an economic incentive for members to join the dApp network and distribute content. So you might want to check. There is 2 sections. If you want to go deeper, maybe I can do a small demo. So the application, it's an Electron application. So hopefully it will be available on multiple operating systems soon. Right now, it's available only on Debian Ubuntu. So the program looks like this. This is the home page. So you are on the home page. And first, let's take a look at the blockchain section. So this is the section where you can take a look at the endpoints that are configured. So when the alpha network, which is sort of like the testnet of that, when it is deployed, you will have 3 or 4 default endpoints. So you can take a look. There is some benchmarks running to see which node is healthy and running, and which nodes are not healthy. So, for example, right now I'm only relying on a single local node. So the first step is to configure your endpoints, and then you can directly deploy role and code, and this role and code will contain all your web application. So, for example, we are going to deploy a simple hello world application. So you choose eventually JavaScript libraries you want to include, but we are not going to include one of them. You can write JavaScript code, and you simply, the only stuff you need finally is HTML code. This will be your web application. So right now, there is only hello world. So I press next, I enter my password. This is used to unlock my private key. Then I need to raise the liston. Okay. So right now my node is running locally, so we should see the deploy coming when I hit deploy. Okay. Okay, so you can see it. So maybe we can have a look briefly. So the web application is the HTML file you saw and the JavaScript code. It is all compiled into a big base 64 string. So this is the string. So this is very important stuff. There is a private name, and on this private name, we send this string, which is the index.html file, and which also contains a signature to be used by the browser to verify the content. So now I should have had, yes, a pop-up on dApp telling me that the dApp has been deployed, and then I can navigate to it immediately. So, okay, that's it. So it worked. This is the ID of the unforgeable name, and this is the ID of the dApp network I am currently using. So this string up here is the equivalent of the URL for legacy web. But this is not a URL because we are not talking about web servers or a domain name. We are talking about a blockchain resource. The web application is just a blockchain resource. So under RChain rules, it is identified by a unforgeable name. So this is the unforgeable name. So the main point of the name service that will be deployed is to be able to register. For example, I will buy Lamouette and attach it to the unforgeable name. I will be obliged to renew it every year, and this will create economic incentive and revenues to the nodes of the dApp network. So the goal is finally to have a healthy network with servers around the world distributing content. So one of the main purpose is to be sort of an anti-censorship distribution network, but there are also other advantages. One of them is to not to have to renew a domain name plus a web hosting service plus a DDoS protecting system like Cloudflare. all of this is packaged into the dApp network, and the dApp nodes are the only one responsible for the network. A dApp node, I don't know if I explained it earlier. A dApp node has to run also the R node software. It must be a node of the RChain platform. So, okay, so we could have a look. So right now it's not working, but there is the names section where you can see all the names that are have been recorded. And this is the dApps section where I have all my dApps I loaded, just like web tabs. It's the same thing. Then a transaction section where I can see my failed and completed transactions. So that's it. That's it. Just a small addition. So one of the main purpose of this is to avoid. It can be useful for business or people. And the main point is that with the API, you have very low risk of being DNS hijacked or being DDoS attacked, because there is dozens of nodes that will be responsible for the dApp network. So if a hacker wants to take down my web application, finally he has to take down the dApp network in its majority. So it's very much more difficult to do than with a single server like Fabco.tech, which is a server of my company, or like dApp.tech. So there is also an advantage for the DNS side of things. Okay, so that's it. If you want more info on the DNS stuff, you can read the technology section. And then just a small update on what's going on. So my goal is soon to launch the alpha network, the dApp alpha network, and I hope it will be working with the RChain test network. But I encounter some problems with the RChain testnet. I cannot deploy. I don't understand why. So this is the stage. This is the stage of the project right now.
Awesome.
That was great.
Yeah. One question: what stack do you use for front-end development?
Okay, so I might show you the project. It's not currently open source. The code of the Electron app is not open source currently. All of the other components are in GitHub. So what I use is React, Redux Saga, RxJS, Xtreme, which is an equivalent of RxJS. So this is the stack. What can I show you? So it works like finally it's a basic React Redux applications with Redux Saga to handle side effects. So for example, I might show you this file, which is the file responsible for loading a blockchain resource when you press enter. So for example, I will so we might start like this. So this is, yes, I should have shown you this setting. It is very important. It is the heart of dApp. These settings, you will tell how many nodes you want to query each time you do a query. So for example, if I want low security, I might just want to query one node when I load an application. But if I want for example, if I'm loading a web application which is a cryptocurrency wallet, I will require 10 nodes to send me the code of the web applications. And this way, if there is one node which tries to fool me, it will be flagged very, very easily. And maybe it can be blacklisted from the dApp network. But when you put this number up, it increases the security of the platform. And right now, since I have only one node available, this should not resolve. So it's telling me that there is not enough nodes to query to resolve the request, because I am requesting that key to request 10 nodes, but there is not 10 nodes available, so it does not work. So that's the main point is this settings, and I can lower my accuracy. For example, I can say out of the 10 requests I will do, I just want 9 responses to be the same. And if one response is different from the others, that's fine. Or I can say, for example, 66 or stuff like that. So the main idea is that the random user will not have to worry about those settings. So this is all working now. I've been working on it for 1 year plus.
How long have you been? Did you say you've been working on it?
I've been working on it since middle of 2018, last year. So it's been 1 year.
Somehow the sound got muffled a little bit. Am I the only one who can't hear? Go ahead.
Something happened with the mic.
Yeah.
I think he said 1 year.
1 year. Okay.
1 year, yes.
Oh, now you're coming in clear. Okay.
Cool.
Well, yeah, that's a tremendous amount of work you've been doing.
Yeah. So,
Great.
one addition to what you've been saying, I have developed, since I interact very much with the RNode software, I have developed it is an equivalent of RChain API, but for me, it is easier to use. Maybe you want to have a look if you have problem deploying and using private public keys and signing and stuff like that. There is a library I developed. It's RChain Toolkit. You can use it. It's on GitHub, and it's up to date with RNode 9.11, and it uses SCCP keys instead of ED 25, which should be not used anymore in a short amount of time.
Right. The new encryption is the SECP was the old encryption, right? Or is that the new one?
It's the new one.
That is the new one? Okay.
Yes. But currently, RNode handles the two.
It handles the two. Okay. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, great. Thank you, Lamette, for that review. And yeah, we look forward to having you part of our dApp developer working group, because this is what it's all about. People sharing their projects and getting ideas and sharing the tools that everyone's using. So yeah, this is great.
Cool.
Good.
Just wondering, as far as so you kind of have like a DNS service going on with this. Does the name that you reserve, when users reserve a name, are they paying like a fee based on the size of the underlying website, or like what are the limitations on the size of a web app that someone can deploy with this?
Yep. So yes, that's right. The idea is that the shorter a name is, the higher the price will be. So, for example, if you just want to buy the letter A, you will pay quite an amount of money. Of course, it's not money; it's all revs and crypto money. And one thing I did not talk about is persistent application. Feature of dApp is that the goal is to be able to deploy web applications that will never ever change over time. So the idea is that you can buy very long names like 12 or 16 plus characters, and you can lock them and process them forever. And this will allow you to deploy persistent applications or persistent files. And these are resources that do not change over time. But yes, the main idea about the economic incentive is that if I want to buy this name, it is very much more, it will cost more money than this one. For example, that one might just be $10 per year, and this one might be $100 per year.
And so dApp owns the entire namespace from the get-go, or can someone go out and buy and then trade them among each other?
So what I will implement is the same thing as if you're familiar with the Handshake project, what they will do is pre-reserve the 10,000 much more famous domain names like Amazon or Google. So this will be pre-reserved and handled by dApp, by some authority of some sort. And then, yes, anyone can buy all the names, but it will not be free. So, for example, that's the 10. In order to avoid people buying Amazon and Google and selling them for an enormous amount, they will be pre-bought at launch.
So with that example of Amazon in the URL, once you get to your mainnet, how would you write the Amazon URL in the window?
So maybe sorry, so I'm going to reload it. No, it won't work, but it will be this URL simply. So tac, voilà, hop. So I might show you hop. Yep. So this is the identity, the ID of the web application Amazon. So first, you're telling the platform. Of course, right now I'm only working with RChain, but the main point is that dApp is blockchain agnostic. Maybe in the future there will be other networks on other platforms. So you're telling which platform you want to query, and then what is the ID of the network. It's just like RChain testnet has different IDs. So this is the alpha network, and then you have to give the ID of the blockchain resource you're going to query in this network. So when you pass it, it understands that you're talking about the alpha network. Then you press load up, and the error you've got here is that I could not find a record associated with Amazon, and this is because here in the name section there is no Amazon name. name and record is it's a bit the same thing.
Okay. So a big key is the browser that you create. So do you refer to that as the dApp browser?
Yep, dApp is maybe it's a problem that everything has the same name, but dApp is the dApp browser is the browser that implements the dApp protocol. And the dApp protocol is a protocol that is described in the technology section of my site. It is the protocol of asking many nodes of the dApp network to get web applications or to get names. So there is the dApp browser and the dApp protocol. Anyone who wishes to implement the dApp protocol can do it, just like HTTP protocol is a free technology, and anyone can build a web browser.
Okay. Very good. And are there any incentives for being I guess as far as validator incentives, there's no validator incentives from the provided with the dApp. It's just more well. So I understand domain name incentives. Is there one for being a dApp validator?
Yes, the term I use is dApp network number. That's the term I use.
Okay.
So one incentive is yes, the money coming from the name purchase. One other incentive is that when, for example, this oh, it does not work. Oh, that's my settings. Up, so submit. Okay, so I changed my settings. Try. Okay, it's working. So, for example, here, my application is completely, there is no dynamic data. But the main point is that blockchain being a database, you can you can do, for example, my web application could be a blog with comments. And all of this will rely solely on a blockchain platform and the dApp network to work. There will not be any dependency for any particular service. So it's different from today's dApps, Ethereum dApps like MetaMask or CryptoKitties, because CryptoKitties you have a dependency and a point of failure, which is the URL. Or for example, Etherscan or decentralized cryptocurrency exchanges. There is this point of failure, which is the URL, which depends on the DNS system doing its work properly. With dApp, you do not have dependency for just one URL. So that's the point. And for example, if my application has dynamic data, the transactions, they will be only addressed to the members of the dApp network. So the transaction fees will be for the members of the dApp networks. And I don't know yet if it will be possible. Maybe it depends on the dApp network members also being validators of the RChain platform and not only being read-only nodes. So I might have to clear this issue later. But the main source of revenue is name purchase. It's not a transaction fee.
Okay.
So actually, this browser can host rich applications, right? It's just like ordinary engine that executes web content.
it can host anything that has been coded with CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. So if you want to do a full dApp, the main point.
Can it support WebSockets or any other?
Yep, yep. But the problem is if you use the WebSocket is full, but the dApp network does not work with WebSocket. So if you use WebSocket, it means you have you rely on a centralized server, but you can rely. It is what I call a hybrid application, which is an application that relies on some centralized stuff. But for example, if you want real-time data or stuff like that, you have to rely on a centralized service. And there is full dApps. Full dApps. This dApp is an example of full dApp. It does not rely on any centralized database service, cloud provider, or stuff like that.
I'm wondering if some kind of user account is inherently in your application. So I was wondering if it's a good idea to build, for example, voting application inside dApp. So it's just a front end which somehow should have access to the revolt, to the locker of the person. So if you already implemented some kind of ownership of the name, you already have some kind of user account inside your application. So to make voting from this, in my imagination, it's not very long path.
Voting,
how do you think?
I think it's a very good example of it could totally work with dApp, and especially it can work because you can deploy an application. For example, I will code my application. I will code the vote stuff. Then I will deploy the application and I will lock it. And the idea is that third party, how do you call it? Anyone can check the front end, the code of the front end. Anyone can check that the dApp name has been locked, that the rolling resource cannot change. So for this channel, there will always be the same code, the same base 64 string. So when the code has been audited, it is some kind of decentralized front end. You know that every user that will who will search for voting, elections, anything, you know that this application won't change forever. So it is a trustworthy web application. And the problem is that the issue with legacy web is that you always have to trust some centralized service to handle or distribute the right web application without spying on what the user is doing or doing not doing what it say it should do.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
It's some sort of you can see it as a dApp. Currently, when people use the term dApp, they are talking of a backend code that is decentralized, that has no single point of failure or a single authority. And dApp, there is the same thing, but for the front end and for the client side. So
can you call a rolling code through inside your applications? So can you talk with blockchain inside applications that are hosted inside dApp?
Yep, there is some. How could I show you? Anyone that codes web application using dApp has access to some utils, and one of them being the dApp RChain. So I have no demo for it now, but I will have soon. It's a blog demo, so you can deploy a blog and do whatever you want. So this dApp RChain will be available in the window in the JavaScript context. And this class allows you to send transactions and listen for blockchain resources. So there is a listen for data name function. So in your JavaScript code, you will be able to call it. And there is a and there is a send transaction. Yes, this is the function. A send transaction function. So of course, since it is gRPC, it is not directly sent from the front end JavaScript runtime. It's sent from outside from a Node.js process. And if you want to have a look, the dApp network members, they just have to run our node, of course, and also dApp node, which is a very simple Node.js Express applications, and which also uses Redis to store the names and the associated blockchain IDs. So this is the code of the dApp node software. So it's on the back side.
Okay, stuff getting quite complicated, but awesome. There is a lot of stuff to dig into, and I have a feeling that it would be nice to have a voting application inside this. So it's kind of double hit.
But yes, the main thing I want to do is to have this for this platform to be very easily usable by web developers. For example, I can show you very sorry. So this is my website, the website of my company, Fabco.tech. Okay, Fabco Technologies. And now I want to turn it as a dApp web application. So it's very, very, very easy. My dev folder, okay, Fabco.tech. So this is the index.html file I have that runs that I have on my computer. So I just need to drag it. So there is some CSS code and other stuff. And then I don't need anything else. Yes, I need this CSS library. So I will just do next. Don't know. Okay, deploy. Sorry. Okay, deploy. So my node received it, and you will see that the images, since they are resources on a given geographical server, they are not displayed in dApp. Okay, so my web application works, but the images, because they rely on centralized server, they cannot be displayed. So in order for my application to have images, I will have to encode them as bash.cat, or I will have to turn my application into a hybrid application. So yes, that's it. So it's very, very, very easy to use.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Lumet.
Could we deploy the status app with dApp? Or would that take?
Sorry?
The status app that we looked at that we're looking at before.
Yep.
We wanted to deploy that as a
Yep. This could be very, very, very cool because you would tell me that something does not work or that you need some other tooling. So it could be a very cool idea to deploy anything you work on in dApp. But yes, the main thing is that the alpha network is not live yet. So when it's live, yes, we will be able to deploy a code and maybe the status app.
Do you have a estimated time as far as when AlphaNet will be deployed?
Alpha network can be deployed when the RChain test network works. On my side, it does not work. So I don't understand exactly why, but when I deploy stuff, I have no responses. So yes,
Actually,
but
now nodes are like there's a very long proposal time for about an hour, so it looks like
so that's
yes.
why, because when I deploy something with dApp, I have one call at plus 10 seconds, another at plus 30 seconds, but after 2 minutes, it stops calling, and so an hour is like
Yeah,
work.
core team is fighting with some issues
Okay.
currently. Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah, I'm once I kind of get oriented, I'm interested in running dApp as well. So, yeah, this is good.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So, this is how it's going to kind of work. It's everyone has their projects, and everyone will want to start to run everyone else's projects, and this is how the ecosystem starts to get going. So,
Yep.
this is what it's all about. Good. So it's 4:11 now. Mike, sorry we didn't get to GitHub presentation today, but as you know, we're all very interested in what you've got to say. So perhaps we could circle back around a week from today, and I'll move you towards the top of the agenda. And does anybody else have any additional final thoughts or comments?
No, that's cool. I like this app. I do have more questions about it, so if you can keep showing up to these and help explain things for us, that's pretty cool.
Yes, and Lumet's available. He can be reached in both the RChain and the Colab Discord. With your handle is Lumet.
Yes,
correct.
Somewhat, it means the seagull in French. So it's LAMOUETTE.
I'm sorry. What does it mean in French?
It means seagull. The bird.
Seagull. Yeah. Yeah, we're in Florida, or at least I'm in Florida, so we have lots of seagulls. So,
okay,
well, great. Good. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and we look forward to picking up here next week at the same date, same time.
Okay. I will end the recording now.
Yeah.
And